Welcome back to yet another episode of Money is Blind podcast. I am your host Prasoon, and as promised in the last week, I'll be talking about Windows Narrator. It is the built in accessibility tool which comes with every Windows laptop or desktop computer that you buy, and it is pre installed, so you don't have to install it. I'm talking about this software because last week I had an episode which covered Apple's voiceover and other accessibility tools. So let us get started. But before that, I am quite happy today because today is January 26th. It was, no, it is still the Republic Day of India. And we worked from home today, me and my personal assistant. It is just like we work in the office, but when we work from home, we use Google Meet to get all the things done. So today was a Thursday, and we had already shot the video yesterday, edited it, uploaded it to YouTube, and the only things that were left were to publish it. So I thought, why not dedicate a complete day to make over moneyisblind.com, and that's exactly what we did today from 10 a.m. to 5:30 p.m. I have gone through many pages in moneyisblind.com, and we have made it very simple and accessible, especially for you guys. There are only few forms. The main one is a contact form, but you can find the email and newsletter subscription forms scrambled all over the website. I hope you will submit your email so that we can stay in touch. You will, right? Yeah, I know you will. So that's it. If you haven't visited moneyisblind.com, it is www.moneyisblind.com. Do it after listening to this episode, all right? So coming back to Windows Narrator. So what is Narrator? It is a software which lets you use your personal computer to complete your tasks without using a mouse. That's the key point. And it is particularly useful for us, for those who are visually impaired or blind. It reads and interacts with whatever things that are on the screen, like text, buttons, and using Narrator, we can send emails, browse the internet, gather the information, do research, create documents like Word documents, create PDF. You can do anything. You can even draw using Narrator. So it is an accessibility tool, and it comes pre-built in every Windows laptop and desktop. But you will have to learn it. You will have to get a hang of doing it, using it, and for that specific keyboard commands needs to be learned. You can read text by characters, words, lines, paragraphs, sentences. It is even possible to go through tables with detailed instructions on which row and which column you are accessing. So you can even create Excel documents. You can go through tables without getting lost. It also has a navigation mode and a reading mode. So there is this thing which is called scan mode. So in order to toggle that on, you just have to press the caps lock button and the space bar. It is the default key which you can use to toggle the scan mode on. So that makes navigation a bit more easier, particularly when you're reading through text and websites and articles and blog posts and whatnot. I'm not talking about Braille display in this episode because I'm not so familiar with Braille. I just started learning it and I'm very slow learning it. You can primarily use your navigation keys, the arrow keys, the up, down, the left and right keys, along with the narrator key, which is the caps lock. key in your laptop or desktop. So how do you turn narrator on in a Windows 10 or 11 laptop? There are two ways. My favorite shortcut is to press three keys simultaneously. That's the control key. I use the left control, the Windows key, and the enter key or the return key. So these three keys, when you press together, you launch Narrator, and immediately when Narrator gets launched, it gives you a box where you can learn how to use Narrator. It has been launched for over a decade now, but it has gotten better. It has improved tremendously, I must say, I must admit, because I have been primarily a Mac user for many years, and I haven't got a chance to check out how Windows Narrator was till last year. So it was last year when one of my laptops got damaged that I had to switch to a Windows laptop, and that's when I started using Narrator again. And I should say I was surprised with the improvements that Microsoft has made when it comes to using Windows Narrator. For I will leave a link to the Windows Narrator guide. It is from the Microsoft website. So there are many chapters. Right now I am using that as a script to tell you guys more about Narrator. And if you go through this guide, you will learn a bit more. It's a very well written article. There are many chapters, and each chapter I have read it multiple times, but still when I go through it, they keep on updating these documents, these tutorials or guidelines, whatever you want to call them. But it has got but it has improved, I must admit that. So another thing that has improved is the voices that are used in Microsoft Narrator. We can change the voice, the speaking rate, the pitch, and we can also install other text to voices. So whenever you launch Narrator, you reach Narrator home. It is one place where you can change everything, change the settings, and there are many buttons, and whatever things that have improved, new things, new features, they list it in the Narrator homepage. There is a quick start in the Narrator homepage. I suggest you should go through this quick start if you are using this for the first time. So the second way to start or launch Windows Narrator is by pressing on the Windows key and then simply typing Narrator, Narrator, and that will automatically select. You just have to type in NAR, and Windows will suggest you this app called Narrator, and you just have to press the enter key to launch it. That's even better, so you don't have to keep remembering, so that you don't have to remember the keyboard shortcuts. I still use the Windows voice, built-in voice. Once you turn off or exit the screen, or when you log out or sign out from the personal computer, the Windows computer, Narrator will automatically turn off. But there is an option which you can use to launch Narrator by default whenever you log into Windows. So you can find all the settings in the Windows Narrator home page and the settings page. It is when compared to Apple MacBook voiceover settings, it is minimalistic, but it gets the work done. So that's what I love about Narrator. So why am I using this Microsoft tutorial to tell you about Windows Narrator? I initially thought about recording this podcast in the Windows laptop, but I left it at the office, and so that's why I am doing it again on my Mac, and I don't have to rearrange or organize the voice clips that I record in different computers. So that's yet another reason why I'm doing this on the Mac instead of the Windows laptop. I hope you can understand. When you go to the settings page in Windows Narrator, everything is explained in simple English. There are multiple checkboxes which you can toggle on or off with just a spacebar press, or you can use the enter key to toggle it on or off. So in this episode, I'm going to cover narrator basics as well, and that will be it, because narrator, learning it and using narrator, it is a huge deal. No, it is actually not a huge deal, but when you get to learn, when you learn the basics, you will be just fine. You will be able to do all the basic stuff with your Windows computer, right? Just trust me. I have been using it for the past 1 year now, but not as a daily driver, but it gets my work done. And I run multiple businesses, and I guess you know that. You don't need a MacBook or an Apple computer to run businesses. Windows is just fine. Trust me. So, if you are listening to this podcast, that means you haven't. I will be talking about Windows Narrator basic features. You can find it when you launch the Windows Narrator in the Quick Start menu, right? It will be in the Windows Narrator homepage itself. It shows you how to navigate headings and landmarks. You will be able to use Narrator online just by going through the Quick Start guide. So go through it 1 or 2 times and you will be done. So one of the keys that I use very often when I use Narrator is the tab key. It is the key that you can find just above the caps lock button. This key will be very useful when you're using Narrator. So whenever you are going from one landmark to another, you can jump using this tab key. When you are in the scan mode, you just have to press caps lock and spacebar to toggle it on. When you're in the scan mode, just use the arrow keys, the up and down arrow keys, and that will be enough. In that case, you don't have to use the tab. And the other key, if you want to go back one step while navigating, you just need to press the shift key. So tab jumps from one place to another in the right direction, in the forward direction. So if you want to go backwards, use tab along with the shift key. It doesn't matter which shift key you are using. You can use either the right or the left one. So I think that makes sense. In some pages, you can use tab and arrow keys to get around or navigate, because in both these keys works in the same way. So when you want to press a link, you can press enter to select it. You can also use the space bar. So the narrator key, by default caps lock is the narrator key, but you can also set insert key, and you can even set any key in the keyboard as your narrator key, because that will be the initial commander key which is required for all the navigation purposes and enabling or switching on the different features of narrator. So you need this narrator key every time, and there is an option in narrator settings whereby you can keep the narrator key pressed all the time. So you don't have to press the narrator key, the caps lock key, every time you want the narrator key to be pressed. So even that feature is available in the settings. It is similar to the voiceover, the VO keys in Mac. I hope you understand. If you are a Mac user, you will understand what the VO keys are. So there is this input tools which tells you which keys you are pressing on your keyboard. You can enable this input learning mode by pressing the narrator key along with the number 1 key. So to stop narrator from reading anytime, you just have to press the control key. To make narrator speak louder or faster, you can use the volume keys to increase and decrease the narrator volume as well. Or you can use the narrator key plus the control key plus the plus key to increase, and the narrator key along with the control key and the minus key to decrease the volume. So that's a bit confusing. I just used the system volume buttons in the laptop. I just know all the keys in the keyboard by heart, so it will be much easier and faster for me to toggle the navigation, toggle to adjust the volume that way. And in order to change the speed, the rate at which narrator speaks, you just have to click on the narrator key along with the plus key. So if you have a dedicated number pad, which is situated on the right side of most of the keyboards, it usually comes in bigger laptops and most of the desktop keyboards. You will be able to find the plus key very easily. But on the laptops, the small laptops, the smaller keyboards, by simply pressing on the narrator key and the plus and minus key, you will be able to adjust the speaking rate of narrator voice. So this one is a new one for me as well. I thought I had to go to settings, the narrator settings, to change the voice, but I think there is a keyboard shortcut for that. But that will toggle between the installed narrator voices only. So the keyboard shortcut is narrator and the alt key and the plus sign. You can use the plus and minus button while holding down the narrator key along with the alt key to change the voice. So there are only 4 voices which are actually usable, which comes installed in every Windows laptop, right? So try it. I found the female version a good one. So the keyboard shortcuts, I'm not going into the details of keyboard shortcuts in this episode. There are so many keyboard shortcuts when you're using narrator. Some of the quick ones, when I'm in the scan mode, I just have to press on the H key to toggle to quickly jump from one heading to another. It is very, very useful because most of the articles, in order to navigate through the ads and all the menus, it takes a long time. So whenever a page gets loaded, I just have to press the H key to quickly jump to the heading that I want. So that is one keyboard shortcut which I highly use, and I think it will be much useful for you as well. Yeah, then most of the other Windows keyboard shortcuts, when it comes to using the Windows software, it needs the Windows key, right? So Windows key with Alt with R will start recording your screen. Windows key along with A will take you to the action panel. It is the right bottom corner. You will be able to turn your Wi-Fi, Bluetooth settings, your time, date, battery, volume, every command you can think of to control your laptop or desktop, it is there in the action panel. So Windows with A, Windows with B also goes takes you to the notification panel, the toolbar in the bottom. I don't think they call it the toolbar, but try these Windows keyboard shortcuts. They are very, very useful. Those are the ones that I use the most because you will have to check the battery. You will need to check the notifications. So just press the Windows key with B and it will take you there. Alright. So I will leave a link to the Windows keyboard shortcuts as well in the show notes, and you can find everything, every episode in moneyisblind.com as well. Alright. So if you want to have a look at moneyisblind.com and tell me which page is inaccessible or difficult to access, I will be glad to help you out to make necessary changes. I try to make the background dark and the font light in color, but there was no time for that today. I'm planning to do it in the next 1 or 2 weeks. I haven't added it to my calendar yet, but it is in my to do list. Okay. All right then. So if you want any changes that you want in moneyisblind.com, just let me know. You can use the contact form, or you can go to anchor.fm/moneyisblind and send me a voice message so that I can listen to your sweet voice as well. So on that note, I'm switching off. No. Yeah, I am actually. I was about to switch off the microphone. I'm switching off the microphone. I will talk to you guys in another episode. Thank you so much for listening. Bye bye.